This program is sponsored by Cynthia McIntosh.
My name is Cynthia McIntosh, and I welcome you to Nuggets of Truth broadcast. Today, I just want to share a word of the Lord with you from one of many parables that Jesus shared with us and is documented in the Bible. As with all his parables, is this parable, the story is full of great truth. And I want to start out by reading it to you. It's Matthew chapter 25. And I want to start at the 14th verse. Jesus said this. He said, "For the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country, who called his own servants and delivered his goods." Think about this. His goods to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, and to each according to his own ability. And immediately he went on a journey. And then he who had received the 5 went and traded with them and made another 5 talents. And likewise he who had received 2 gained 2 more also. But he who had received 1 went and dug in the ground and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those harvests came and settled accounts with them. So he who had received 5 talents came and brought 5 other talents, saying, "Lord, you delivered me 5 talents. Look, I have gained 5 more talents beside them." And his Lord said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord." And he also who had received 2 talents came and said, "Lord, you delivered me 2 talents, and look, I have gained 2 more talents beside them." And his Lord said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things, and I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of the Lord." Then he who had received the 1 talent came and said, "Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, gathering where you have not gathered seed. And I was afraid and went and hid your talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours." I'm going to go down to verse 29. And Jesus is very indignant with this last verse, I do believe, for he says, "To everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. And he will have abundance. And from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the unprofitable servant into the outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Let me just talk about some things the Lord have given to me, to you today from this text. First of all, we're born with 2 gifts. Gifts that cannot be taken from us by anyone. These 2 gifts are presence and purpose. Presence and purpose. You see in this text that these 3 individuals had presence and purpose. Yes. Their Lord came and gave them something. He gave them purpose. He gave them something to do something with. He gave them purpose. You have that. God created you, planted you, and empowers you with his purpose. He gives you something of value. You see, beloveds, you are a seed planted in the earth. And once planted, you have the option of obedience and acceptance of Christ. You have an option to become a part of the body of Christ. And as a member of the body of Christ, you become a light. Oh, yes. A spiritual light in the midst of spiritual darkness. Let me say that again. As a member of the body of Christ, you become a light. Your spiritual light in the midst of spiritual darkness. Your spiritual light becomes spiritual, or rather causes spiritual darkness to flee. And that spiritual darkness is Satan and his followers. that space has to vacate because light has appeared. Oh, yes. And because of that, Satan, as he flees, he will send what I call his darts of pain, his darts of attack. And be assured that your attacks from Satan are because of your spiritual light in this earth. And I love talking about this because oftentimes we blame a lot of stuff on God when Satan is the cause, and it's because God is in your life. A great example of this is with the Jews in their battle with Hamas. They have something that Satan wants. So it is with you. You have something that Satan wants. He wants your territory. He wants your possessions. You see, your presence eliminates his dominion, his domination of your space. Let me say that again. Your presence eliminates his domination of your space, of your talents, of your treasures, your home, your job, your children, your money, your wealth, your heart. And because of your presence, God will place things in your care for their protection and for their use. Let me say that again. Because of your presence with God, he will place things in your care for their protection and for his use. You see, Satan, his goal is to take control of everything and be the God that he thinks he's qualified to be. And you are one of the things that he wants. But because of your presence, you have the power to protect the things of God. And the great news I want to share with you today is that care comes with a special gift. Oh, yes. You see this gift in the text. The parable, there were 3 servants, and he gave 1 10, 1 5, and 1 talent. The ones with the 10 and the 5 talents planted their gifts and doubled their possessions. The one with the 1 talent went and buried his gift in the ground with no return for his master. And you see in this text, the Lord said in verse 29 of that text, he says, "For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away." And from this text, you see the more in this text is a special gift. And that is the gift of a harvest. Dear hearts, God's seed in you is designed to bring forth a harvest. Your gift from the Lord that you take and do something with. Oh yes, I'm trying to tell you something today about how special you are. And what will happen if you do something with what God has given you. What has God given you? And if you use what God has given you, there's a gift called a harvest, where you will have more than you started out with. This is God's gift for your care over his goods placed into your hands. Dear hearts, you are a seed in the earth, planted by God, with growth into a harvest of something for somebody. I asked you this question today. Are you ready for your increase? You that have taken what God has given you, have utilized it, doubled it. You see, every act of obedience unto the Lord is loaded with your harvest. I share this message today because oftentimes we're discouraged with doing something with what we have because of the pain associated with it. Oh yes, there is pain associated with the environment of the soil that you're planted in. Yes, the atmosphere of that plant is surrounded by things that comes to attack it. Oh yes, Jesus understood this. You see this in Isaiah chapter 53. It says, who has believed our report, and to whom has the arm of the Lord revealed? For he, Christ, shall grow up before him as a tender plant. Remember, he was a seed also. And he grew up as a plant as you and I. Out of the root, out of dry ground. Some of us come from very dry beginnings, very difficult beginnings. It says he has no form or comeliness, and when we see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. And he is despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. And we hid as it were our faces from him. He was despised, and we did not esteem him. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. All we, like sheep, have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. Oh, yes. I share that to talk about the issue of the challenge of taking what God has given to us and utilizing it for the Lord. Christ did that, but he suffered. And I encourage us to not to let the suffering of our call stop us from blessing God and blessing people, because there is a harvest. There is a harvest. Oh, yes. Let me finish with this thought. I want to give you 3 words: seed, time, and harvest. Seed, time, and harvest. I share these words with you today from Genesis chapter 8, verse 20. It says, and then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and took of every clean animal and of every clean bird, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelled a soothing aroma. Then the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground for man's sake, although the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth, nor will I destroy every living thing as I have done. While the earth remains, seed, time, and harvest, cold, heat, winter, and summer, and day and night shall not cease. Seed, time, and harvest. God owns the harvest. And beloveds, there is a harvest for you as you take what God has given you and use it for his glory. He will not forget about you. But beloveds, I've got to go. God bless you. And I hope to share with you again on next week.
This program was sponsored by Cynthia McIntosh. To hear this program again and others, go to FamilyValuesRadio1010.com and click on the podcast page and find this program and many others right there on FamilyValuesRadio1010.com.